Good evening. It is Monday, April 6th. This is a Board of Education meeting. I would first like to invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us. I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are in an unbelievably unusual and unprecedented time with the COVID-19 pandemic, and acknowledge the amazing things that are happening in our town. We have a number of medical personnel who live here who are serving our community and the communities around us on the front lines. We have first responders of all sorts doing exactly that. We have essential personnel who are keeping our supermarkets going, who are keeping our town government going. And we have in our school community, teachers and custodians and food service people and paras and nurses and all sorts of folks continuing to serve our students in a remarkable way. And I just wanted to really note our great appreciation for all those people. So I'm going to get started on the meeting here. The first item is an action on the minutes. I would like a motion, please, to accept the March 9th, 2020 Board of Education minutes.
Motion to accept this meeting.
Amy Sullivan, so moved.
Are there any questions, corrections? I do have two corrections on page 6. 9.4, I believe the heading should be a $2,000 donation from Guilford Youth Football. And then I also have a correction on page 8 under number 11, public questions. The second sentence is credited to me. I believe that is Dr. Freeman who noted the statistics there. Are there any other comments on these sets of meetings?
Dr. Balistraci, while you're making those corrections, if I recall, that was Polly Reeder, not Polly Reardon. Polly
Thank you.
Reeder was the community member.
Thank you, that's correct.
When I look at item 7 of the minutes, which is the report by the student representatives, at least in my copy of this, it only went, the only elementary school that was covered was Lakes, and the others, I don't see anything in here.
I believe that's correct. We did not have all of our students reps present. There was not a report on all 7 buildings that evening.
Yeah, there's Melissa Jones on the front page and Guilford Lakes on the second, but.
Yeah, you're right, yes.
Any other comments? All right, so the minutes, there's a move and a second. All those in favor of approving these minutes? Aye.
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 All right, next, can I have a motion to accept the March 25th, 2020 minutes? This is a special meeting in executive session.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Is that 3.2, Katie?
Yes.
Just one change to make. Hold on, let me get there.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't believe Kristen Peck was on that call. Is that right, Kristen?
Right, thank you.
Okay. That's the only change.
All right. Any other changes? All right. We have a move and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And then Kristen, you would abstain, right, from that? Sorry, I should have asked that. And then,
I would abstain as well. I wasn't there. Sorry.
okay. And then March 30th, 2020, special meeting as well, executive session. Is there a motion to accept these minutes?
John Delaventura, so moved.
Ted Sands, second.
Thank you.
Any corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Next is, normally the next agenda item would be public forum for topics on the board agenda. Due to the remote nature of this meeting, we are unable to do this at this time. However, I encourage anyone who has questions, concerns, topics of interest related to this agenda, or other things to address those via email to myself, BallastracyK@guilfordschools.org, or to Dr. Freeman at his school email address. Our apologies. This is, we're learning this remote process. We are always open to hearing from the public. And so please feel free to reach out to either Dr. Freeman or myself, and we would be happy to respond to questions or concerns related to this agenda, or quite frankly, other school-related issues. All right, Dr. Freeman. Oh, and then again, sorry, I'm skipping around. Moira, expenditures for the month, review and approval, please.
Sure. So in reviewing the expenditures for the month, our total for the month of March was $4,731,882.90. They are, for this year at March, we're at 69.29% of the budget as compared to last year at 69.67%. Our revenue for the month was a total of $10,706.25. And some kind of atypical expenses for this month come under supplies and materials, where we had a more extensive cost for custodial supplies in response to the current COVID-19 virus. The warrant we are submitting this month in total is in the amount of $2,120,028. As I mentioned, there were a few items that we discussed in the operations committee meeting, with particular in regards to custodial supplies purchasing in terms of antibacterial wipes and other items for the district buildings and school buildings. We also discussed the bus yard diesel line item as it pertains to, the halt and transportation and how we will be managing that. We also discussed the impact to tuition and how we will be kind of forecasting that in conjunction with Mr. Scanziano. And then we also took note of the medical insurance line item and how that might be impacted both positively and negatively, perhaps positively in less physical doctor visits, but with the anticipation that there may be employees whose family members are now unemployed and may have to join our plan. But it's not that something we're predicting right now, but something that we're keeping our eyes on, as we can all empathize with and had discussed in the operations meeting. A lot of expenses are changing and altering as we kind of navigate through this new normal of distance learning and perhaps not having our buildings functioning, but how that might be offset later with other expenses. So like I said, there's just some kind of key items that we're keeping our minds on and our eyes on for the foreseeable future. And that is the report.
Thank you, Maura. So is that a motion to approve these expenditures?
John Delaventura, so moved.
Mary Beth, second.
Any other comments or questions? As Maura indicated, we spent a good amount of time discussing this in our operations committee meeting earlier this evening. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Thank you, Moira.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We do not have student representatives with us this evening, so I'm going to turn it to Dr. Freeman for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Balistraci. So obviously, much of my report this evening is going to focus on the effects that coronavirus has had on our schooling structures. As the board and the community are aware, on March 12th, we announced that schools would be closed here in Guilford in conjunction with a number of other shoreline communities. Shortly thereafter, Governor Lamont announced the closing of all Connecticut public schools, public and private schools, through April 20th. At this time, Guilford schools remain closed indefinitely. The governor has not updated his order and made an announcement as to what Hartford's anticipation is for beyond April 20th. I will say that repeatedly, the Commissioner of Education, Commissioner Cardona, has encouraged us to plan for a lengthy closing, to plan to be out for as much as the full year, and then to hope to be back sooner. At this point, we anticipate that the governor or the commissioner will be issuing either an extended order or new guidance as early as this week. It is important for the community to please know and understand that even should the governor lift his order for school closings, any decision to reopen schools here locally in Guilford will be made in conjunction with local health authorities. We have worked very closely with Dennis Johnson, the local public health officer. We will continue to do so. In any decision to reopen schools, we will give families sufficient notice to do that, and we will make sure that we make that decision cooperatively and collaboratively with Mr. Johnson. I do need to suggest that at this point, I do not see that we will be reopening on April 21st. I do expect that schools will remain closed for a significant amount of time beyond these initial first 3 weeks. Along with that, I want to take just a moment to explain how we will approach the holidays and vacations that continue to be embedded in our calendar. I have received a number of questions about why the schools will be recognizing this Friday, which is identified as a holiday, as Good Friday, and why the schools will be recognizing next week as a spring or April vacation or break, considering the fact that the schools are essentially in a physical shutdown at this time. First, there's a number of factors that went into recognizing that, and they include primarily the balancing of the state's 180-day requirement for student school days, the governor's waiving of that requirement, which said essentially that after March 12th, schools would be allowed to close on their identified last day of school if they made every effort to make up any lost days. But schools under no case should be recouping days. So if we were to continue offering instruction across this April vacation, we would still be getting out on the June 17th, which is currently identified as our last school day. Districts were not encouraged, and in fact were discouraged from trying to make up days across April vacation in order to be out sooner in June. Those student days also need to be balanced against employee days. It's important to note that the students' 180 days are balanced against a number of various employment contracts. And so again, if we were to try to keep working at this pace through April vacation and then all the way through June 17th, we would be finding ourselves in violation of a number of labor contracts that we need to take into consideration. All of that went into the initial consideration to continue to maintain this April break. But I also need to say that looking back now and reflecting on these last 3 weeks, I simply think that our teachers, our parents at home, and our students do need a break at this point. Distance learning has not been easier than learning in person. In many ways, this has been more challenging for our teaching staff, for our administrative staff, and in many, many ways for the parents at home who are working with their students every single day. So I know that by not providing interactive teaching experiences across that week, we will be creating more necessity for parents to find structure and find activity for their students. But I think that our teachers need the opportunity to catch their breath and to catch up with the instruction that they have been rolling out. I do want to note for all of our community members that as we move into this break week, there continues to be supplemental materials and activity resources on our website. In fact, I want to tip my hat to Lori Hahn, who has been working tirelessly to keep our website updated, not just with the supplemental materials that were created by our teachers and other local regional teachers that are aligned to grade level standards in Connecticut, but the website has continued to grow with additional resources outside of schooling activities, things that students can engage in with artists, with authors. So please take a look at our website as well as at other resources as you are looking for activities in which to engage your students over this upcoming April break. I also want to take a moment just to reinforce the town's focus on social distancing protocols. We know that it's important for your children at home to be getting outside during this time. And certainly getting outside for fresh air and physical activity is going to be important. But even out of doors, I want to encourage all of our parents and all of our students and all of our community members to continue practicing social distancing norms. Taking a hike in Westwoods or running on the track are probably completely appropriate activities to engage in. But playing a game of pickup basketball where you are in close contact with other children or adults, where you are touching the same ball that is being passed back and forth, is not social distancing. So even out of doors, I want to encourage everyone to continue to maintain those social distances. From that, I do want to take a moment and talk about the distance learning that's been happening in our schools. And essentially, I want to reinforce a communication that I sent out last week to all community members and remind everybody that this distance learning is new for all of us. I have been incredibly pleased and incredibly proud of the response that I have seen from teachers and from principals in the school system in the way that they are pushing information and activities and materials and contact out to their students. But I have to say that I am equally as impressed and proud of the parents and the students in the community and how they have risen to this challenge. We know that this structure leaves a lot on the shoulders of the parents. And I need to say again that we do not expect families to create schools in their homes, and we do not expect parents to become content area experts. We're working the best we can to change our standards. We're learning every single day. I continue to hear feedback from teachers and from parents. We're learning from that feedback. We have, again, on our website, created both a video gallery and a photo gallery of some of the distance learning opportunities that we are providing. Again, I want to reiterate that the idea is that this work is more project-based, is more independent, and is much more asynchronous. It is an individualized calendar that students are engaging in. We do not expect students to check into their Chromebooks from 7:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon. We do expect students to be dipping in and out of schooling over the course of the day and the week. There will be archived video activities that they can watch, some of them multiple times. There will be real-time opportunities to connect with their teachers. Not all of those will be video in nature, but many of them may be video in nature. And there will be project work that they will be engaging in, as well as independent work. Simple things like reading a book and engaging in some more long-term project activities. Again, I can't say enough how proud I am of everybody involved. And I cannot say enough that we will learn and get better at this as we go through it together. I also want to note our meal service. At this time, Guilford's dining services remains open for business. We have more than 800 families who have signed up for meals in this community, and we are serving breakfast and lunch combination meals that currently can be picked up at Guilford High School. We are looking into the opportunity of possibly expanding that one site into multiple sites for meal pickup. I do want to note that these meals are not the usual hot meals that we would be cooking and providing if our kitchens and cafeterias were open. They are much more a cold grab and go breakfast and lunch. But we are very proud of our dining services personnel who are providing not only that meal service, but also some of the in-person contact that we're not providing as the school system right now. Again, we are practicing social distancing protocols. There's no direct contact between our food preparers and servers and the community members who pick those meals up. We're doing that at a distance. But there is a smile and a wave, and that goes a long way, and it's heartwarming to be there and to see the positivity that's taking place, as well as those meal deliveries. It's important to note for the community, while those meals are being served to our Guilford families at no charge, we are receiving an offsetting contribution from the federal government for every meal that we push out. And then finally, in my report, I do want to note that there has been a change to our budget referendum schedule. We will not be holding a regular town meeting as we would traditionally do here in Guilford, and we will not be holding a traditional referendum as we would here in Guilford. However, on April 13th, the Board of Finance will be holding a public meeting to listen to comments from the community on the town and the school budgets as they were approved by the Board of Finance before the school closing occurred. And again, the Board of Finance will be meeting on April 20th to again hear public comment and then to finalize and approve both of those budgets, the school and the town, before setting a mill rate and moving forward with budgets for next year. There has been a lot going on in the schools. As I said, we continue to collaborate and to coordinate with our local town health authorities. We continue to coordinate at the state level. I am part of calls weekly with both the governor's office and with the commissioner's office to try to stay on top of events as they change at the state level. We will continue to monitor those changes. We will continue to try to push all the information that we have out to the community as soon as we have that information. And we will continue to make an effort to really listen to the feedback. If this closing extends for a longer period of time, as it is likely to do, we know that feedback is going to be important and changing on our feet is going to be important. And we are committed to doing that with the community for our students for as long as this closing continues. And unless the board has questions, I'd say that completes my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Is there a board member who has questions about any part of the superintendent's report? I am seeing none and hearing none. All right, thank you very, very much. That takes us to board agenda item 8.1 to act on personnel items.
Dr. Balistraci, may I make one amendment to that item before the
Yes.
board takes action? So item 8.1, as included in your packet, notices the resignation for purpose of retirement of two staff members, Amanda Merrill and Deborah Riccio. Amanda Merrill contacted me just on Friday and asked to rescind her resignation for the purposes of retirement. She does not want to finish her career with coronavirus being the last opportunity she has to work with students and her colleagues and families. She would like to please rescind her resignation. So if you take action on this tonight, I would ask you to recognize only the resignations of Deborah Russo for purpose of retirement and the resignation of Caitlin McCarthy.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that. So I am going to notice then that we are being asked to ratify the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Deborah M. Russo, Baldwin Middle School teacher, 25 years of service in Guilford. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. Oh,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and we are being asked to ratify the resignation of the following teacher, Caitlin McCarthy, Lakes Elementary School, special education, 5.5 years of service in Guilford. Is there a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second?
second,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Excellent. All right. 8.2. We are being asked to approve a $4,000 donation from Guilford Youth Lacrosse Association toward the purchase of a new scoreboard for Maturo Field. We have an exhibit in front of us. Is there a motion to accept this donation?
So moved.
So, Mr. Sands. May I ask who the second was?
I seconded.
Okay,
Mary Beth?
Mary
All
Beth.
right.
Second, Mr. Sands. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And 8.3 is acting on a recommendation from the policy committee. Would the policy committee like to present this recommendation? All right. Is there someone on the policy committee who'd like to present this, or I can present it?
Katie, if you wouldn't mind, because I was absent for the
Oh,
last.
perfect. Okay, so there's a recommendation from the policy committee. This was a receive item at our last month's meeting. This is now a recommendation we're being asked to act on. It is a revision to policy 5134, non-resident students. Mr. Bowden, I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick update about what the changes are here? Well, maybe he
Sure.
can't do
As we discussed last month, this is a policy around what school district a student will attend if the town boundary intersects the property of said dwelling. And we did amend, it's in blue, I believe. If you have it, you'll see it in the non-resident attendance section without tuition. I had neglected to inform Terry of a change we made at the policy committee level. You'll see in number 2, there's an addition of buy, build, and rent or lease within a 90-day window that was omitted in last month's version of what you received.
We did note at your last meeting that these changes are essentially fairly logistical in nature. We noted 2 other topics around non-resident students that would require some lengthier conversation around the non-resident children of employees, as well as the idea of considering participation in the state of Connecticut Open Choice Program. Neither of those topics have been prepared for further conversation and will be tabled at this time until we move through this COVID-19 situation. Those are probably not items that will get much movement on until things return to some greater degree of normalcy.
All right. So again, as a board, we've had this for a month and are now being asked to act on it. Is there a motion to approve the recommendations from the policy committee regarding 5134 non-resident students?
So moved.
Second.
So we have a first from Dr. Hirsch, a second from Dr. Best. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So that is also done. We're now at the point of our meeting where we hear reports from committees. Does the policy committee have a report to give this month?
No, we don't. We're slated to meet later in the month.
Okay, thank you so much. Operations committee.
Ted, you're muted.
Still muted.
Ted, I'm sorry, you're muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, so we had a meeting prior to this one, also by internet. We talked quite a bit about the impact of the school closure and related items on the budget. I think that the consensus is that it's too early to really tell what's going to happen. There are pluses and minuses here, but I think it's just a little premature to know what's going to happen, but this could have significant impact on the budget. It's also too early to see what the impact will be on our healthcare costs, but we are all sensitive to the fact that with 1,650 insured employees and dependents, that this coronavirus thing is going to result in some significant costs on the health front. We just haven't seen them yet. So that would be the main items that we discussed in the operations committee.
All right. Thank you. The Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Committee?
Yes, unfortunately, we did not meet in March as we were scheduled to do due to the COVID-19 crisis. So our next meeting will be on May 26th, and we will potentially discuss some of the things that we were going to discuss in March.
Wonderful, thank you. Liaisons to town committees. It's not clear to me that town committees have all been meeting, but does anyone have a report related to a town committee they've attended?
No update to land acquisition.
Thank you.
I'll just share that the Town Emergency Committee has been meeting periodically, and the schools are participating in all of those organizational meetings. I just want to note that we appreciate the relationship and the support that we have with the town and with all town agencies during this period. They've been fantastically supportive of us and the work that we do in the schools.
Thank you. That's terrific to hear. Liaison to Learn Board of Directors. I'm not sure there's been a meeting in the last month. Kristen, I'm seeing you shake your head.
Our meeting is coming up on Thursday.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
I'll also note that superintendents associated with the Learn communities have been meeting fairly regularly, and obviously there's been a lot of communication and collaboration across all of those districts. I will again note that when we announced the local closing of schools, it was done essentially with all of the other districts that are that participate in the Learn region with the support of all of their health directors or health collaboratives with which they participate. So we continue to get a lot of support from Learn. The supplemental materials that I referenced earlier that are available on our website were pulled together by teachers, coaches, and administrators from many of the school districts represented in the Learn region, including Guilford teachers and coaches.
Terrific. I will also note that CABE has been providing wonderful support to our district and districts across the state through this COVID-19 epidemic, helping us translate some of the executive decisions coming out of the governor's administration, really helping boards of ed figure out how to run meetings, how to address all sorts of logistical issues that we have to address. I am on a CABE chair listserv, and Board of Ed chairs across the state have really also been seeking each other out, providing guidance, asking questions. It really is a kind of a community effort to try to address students and school systems in the best way that we can. All right, I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. Again, I do want to just take this moment. I thanked at the beginning of the meeting so many in our school system who have really stepped up to the plate. I would also like to publicly acknowledge Dr. Freeman and the administration, the district leadership team that have just done a remarkable job in, we've used this word a lot, in an unprecedented situation. Dr. Freeman and I are in regular contact throughout these last 3 or 4 weeks. And I know he and the district leadership team, some of whom are on the call right now, have just been doing unbelievable extra effort and time and energy has been put into really making all of this work and move forward. And I as the chair of the board and on behalf of the rest of the board, I want to thank you, Dr. Freeman, and thank your administrative team. It is remarkable what you are doing and what you need to pay attention to. And I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll be sure to share that with everybody on the team. Thank you very much.
Please do, please do. All right. Once again, just a reminder to the public that any questions, concerns, thoughts, please feel free to reach out. And with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Excellent. Thank you. Amy Sullivan made the motion. John Delaventura seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you to everyone. Have a safe next couple of weeks until we formally meet again.